Alrighty guys, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, good night, whatever time of the day it is. Hope it's a wonderful time. So I'm back with another review for you guys, and this is a Cole Haan running shoe. Now, I'm not super familiar with Cole Haan in terms of their running shoes. I do have some knowledge of their dress shoes and boots, as I do currently own a couple pairs of them. So I figured, you know what, I was at Nordstrom Rack yesterday. I was at the mall with some friends, and I was like, you know what, I'm kind of curious to see what they have. And I know I've heard Nordstrom Rack has better deals than Saks Fifth, which is essentially one of their biggest competitors, I believe. And that's normally where I actually shop for a lot of my stuff. And I figured, you know what, if I can get something for even cheaper, why not? So I ended up finding these in a size 13. Now these are a slight bit, like half size too big. Um, but given that these don't fit very wide, sorry, these don't fit very narrow, they do actually pretty well fit, good enough that I can actually walk in them, and I'm sure if I had to jog in them, I could do that as well. Now, in terms of the aesthetic, I'm going to bring that up first because there's a few things I want to point out that I don't like, and that has to be with this. I don't mind the little leather tab on the top here where the tongue would be, being this is a one-piece upper. I don't like this. I think this lacing system is kind of stupid. I definitely think they should have went with something more traditional. But being Cole Haan, I know they try to think a little bit outside the box, and being that I believe they are still owned by Nike, the design team probably wants something a little bit more. I'm definitely seeing a lot of athleisure. Like, this screams, in my opinion, athleisure. Not something you really, I don't know if you would really want to wear this to the gym. I guess you could theoretically, being it's a running shoe, but it's just more of like, comfort. You're going to be walking around all day, and I don't really know if you want to wear this to the gym, but if you do, I definitely don't see an issue with it. So I got these yesterday for a whopping $39.54. Trying to show you guys. $39.54. There's a total, and it's literally the only thing I bought. So that being said, these are an absolute bargain. I'm pretty sure these retail for about anywhere from $150 to $200. I'm in love with the look of the shoes aesthetically. Comfort-wise, these are a solid 8.5 to a 9. I'm sure that'll probably go up to at least a 10, if not a 12. Once I break these in the next couple days. And that's usually the thing that I have when it comes to shoes from brands that are not athletic, specific brands like Nike, Adidas, whatever. Um, my apologies about the cars driving by. I'm obviously outside. When it comes to like brands that are making shoes and they don't specify in those kind of like athletic styles, typically I actually have to break them in order for them to really get to like their optimal level of comfort. Now, these here, I've only worn them once. I wore them yesterday evening, and I gotta say, so far they're pretty damn comfortable. Now, again, like I mentioned, not the most, but they're not uncomfortable by any means. One thing that I really gotta say I like about these is the aesthetic. As I mentioned earlier, I love the design. I love the overall concept. The way that these have been designed, I think, is really nice. The one thing that really caught my eye was this bit here. So you have that little bit of a gap. Kind of wish that it followed through in the opposite side as well. Something about that, I like it. It's kind of like the I believe it's called the Boost You Wear from Adidas that I've been trying to get my hands on, and I just can't find them in my size cheap enough. You know, not rich here. So again, these for 30, let's just say $40 even. These are an absolute bargain. Now, the one thing I really don't like, and this is literally the only thing that I'm really going to be nitpicky about, is this bit of leather over here. Only because they've cut slots. These are not holes. I really don't mind the leather. Kind of wish it was a different color, but really, I'm gonna leave it like that because honestly, it's nothing too noticeable. The main focal point would be the green hits on the silver or gray knit upper. Which, by the way, if you guys can see on the inside, I don't know if you guys will catch this on the camera. This is not lined, as you guys can see. So this is kind of like a sock kind of deal, which is nice. Normally when it comes to like shoes that are like this that have a liner, breathability for me, not the best. Now, I don't normally have my shoes smelling like ass all day. So again, I've never really had a ventilation problem to the point where my shoes smell bad, but My feet do get hot in some shoes more than others. These, I really don't know. Like I mentioned, I only wore these once last night, maybe about 20-30 minutes to take my dog for a walk. So I really don't have an idea as to how well the ventilation is on these. It was a pretty dry, or not dry, but sorry, pretty still night in terms of like breeze and wind. But being that today seems like it's going to be a little bit cooler, I'm going to try to take advantage of that and see exactly how well the ventilation works with this. Now, in terms of the lacing system, coming back to that as a bit of a pro, I like these kind of laces. I do get to say thin, round, sport kind of laces are my favorite kind of laces, in my opinion, simply because of the fact that I can do this. That little dead stock knot. I know it's kind of a weird reason to like that, and for that reason, I understand some people may not really care about the laces and style of lacing that's used, especially in a shoe like this where you don't really rely on the laces for lockdown. At least I don't. These are size 13. I normally wear 12 to 12 and a half. These fit pretty good. They fit about a half size too big. My toes are about there. Normally when it comes to running shoes, I don't like my feet right at the very front of the toe box. Just, you want to have yourself a bit of wiggle room, especially if you're going to be wearing these throughout the day. You want your feet to be able to expand because they swell up, when you're on your feet a lot, they swell, they expand, and if it's too snug of a fit out of the box as is, after an hour or two of walking, standing, especially if you're using these, for, athletic purposes, as I can imagine some of you guys might, definitely that's something you want to consider. Now, I'm not athletic by any means. I'm definitely not going to be using these to go to the gym, although I might at some point, but I don't know if this is necessarily be the reason you're buying these, which is, given that these are an athleisure kind of shoe. And the one thing that gives that away again is coming back to like this leather hits, this leather tab, which by the way I actually think looks, I really wish it was a different color. I kind of wish it was like a gray or even black. I'd rather it be black, or match the silver they used on the nylon pull tab in the back here. Now, one thing I want to point out is probably the biggest, upside to these, aside from the cushioning, is the way the upper actually fits around the foot. I have a fairly wide foot, so you guys can see this is not necessarily the widest of a shoe, but it fits perfectly. I'm not sure what the width is. I believe these are a W. Pretty sure these are a W. It doesn't say on the receipt. It doesn't say on the receipt, at least not that I'm seeing at a glance. So as far as it goes with that, these do fit pretty well width-wise. I normally have an issue with running shoes. I normally have to go to a 13 because of the width, not necessarily because they're too small, but they just don't fit wide enough. Normally when it comes to Adidas, I have that issue. My Ultra Boosts are a 13, and honestly, they fit just as, in terms of like fit-wise, they fit just the same as these do. So if you guys manage to cop a pair of these and you're wondering what size to get, I would probably go a half size up, at least, if you can. Now, the downside to this is I don't even know if I'm going to be able to link these. If I haven't mentioned this already, I haven't been able to find these easily. And I'm not talking about this colorway in particular. I'm talking about this shoe in general. I haven't been able to find this shoe model, the all-day trainers, really at all, in a good variety of sizes. Usually it's just like 8, 8.5, and then it goes up to like a 14. And I believe the biggest size this goes into is a 14 or something like that. I haven't been able to find these on the website, which is pretty surprising. So I'm not sure if these are a discontinued shoe or if this is just like an outdated version of the shoe. But aesthetics-wise, looks really nice. Getting into the outsole, this is something that I talked about a little bit earlier. It is a really, really nice design. Now, when it comes to somebody like me, the design of the outsole is actually something that I consider when it comes to buying a shoe. Not necessarily in terms of aesthetics, but just the way that it's, incorporated, the way that it works has to do with the tread. Now, again, this not being directly and specifically made for athletic purposes, I'm not going to say, oh, it's, going to be bad in the rain. You're not going to be wearing this when it's wet. This is kind of like a pair of, I don't know, those Balenciagas, like the ones, the high cut ones. You're not really going to be wearing those to go to the gym. Those are more of an athleisure kind of thing. Same thing kind of applies here. This is more like a fashion statement kind of running shoe, if you will. But nonetheless, I think it looks nice. Side note, I like this bit of like a, what do you call this? Fuse, I guess? Is that what this is called? I know there's a name for this material. It's basically like a plastic, and I guess it's gonna act kind of like a mud guard. So I guess if you wanted to wear that, I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I don't think you could put these in the washing machine, so you'd probably be forced to wash them by hand, which will really, really cause me to think twice about where I'm gonna wear these. If it's gonna rain, if it's gonna be dirty, you know. But as you guys can see, I can definitely see these holding up, being worn daily. I can definitely see these lasting several years at least. Um, I'd say maybe about 2 years. For a pair of shoes, if you're gonna look at these as running shoes, that's not too bad. Again, I'm not wearing these with the intent of using them for the gym or for anything athletic. These are, again, for me specifically, going to be used as more of like a casual, just walking kind of, you're going to the mall, you're going out, you're going to be running errands, you want a nice pair of runners, you throw these on. Anyways, guys, that's going to be for this video. If you guys have any questions or anything you would like to contribute, if you own these pairs, this pair of shoes in a different color or whatever, tell me what you do and don't like in the comments, and I'll pin it for everybody else to see. And until next time, deuces.